Laynie and welcome to the channel. Welcome! I have a cup of golden tea, so if my tea look yellow, that is why. It's not the best tasting tea, but it's so good for you. And also, one last thing. Pretend that my bangs aren't sticking 800 different ways because I really need to get them trimmed. I usually trim them myself in between visits, but I'm getting so close to the next visit. I'm like, nope, just let them go. They're gonna be so long. They're gonna be wild. But you know, this is what we're working with, okay? All of the rambling aside, that really has nothing to do with today's video. Today's video, I'm gonna talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fragrances that are a little bit of a disappointment in my collection. You know, I don't dive into disappointments often. I feel like I'm fairly easy to please when it comes to the beauty realm. I just have fun with it. I enjoy it. None of it is that serious. But I do have a few that I just am struggling with. And so I thought, you know what? I feel like you guys would enjoy seeing the things that I'm not absolutely obsessed with in my collection. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you enjoy fragrance content, beauty content, a little bit of lifestyle content, and a whole lot of air conditioning running in the background, then make sure you click that subscribe button, join the fam, you won't regret it. And now let's get going. The first one is not a fragrance I dislike by any means. I think it smells beautiful. This is the Kayali Eden Juicy Apple fragrance. I did pick this up at a discount around Black Friday a few years back, so at least I didn't pay full price for it. That helps me rest easier at night. Honestly, a gorgeous fragrance. You have lots of juicy apple in here and red berries. There's some grapefruit that I really think livens it up, makes it bright, fun. This is a very approachable fragrance. There's raspberry, rose, jasmine. I don't get a ton of florals in here. To me, this is very juicy, fruity body spray, lots of sugar and musk, some vanilla, and honestly, such a pretty fragrance. So sugary and musky. It leaves just this transparent scent cloud that is honestly so invigorating, inviting. The girl next door, like everybody loves her. I honestly love this fragrance, so you're probably like, why are you putting it on this list? Because the lasting power is terrible, okay? I know Kayali is known for not having the most long-lasting fragrances. I have body sprays that last far longer than her. When you first spray it out, it seems like it's gonna be pretty powerful. It's got a good blast. It's got a strong performance in the initial opening. She tames down quickly. I feel like as it dries down, it kind of goes more sugary and the fruitiness kind of goes in the background. I wish the fruitiness really stayed more powerful throughout. Wish this was a little bit more syrupy. I love that it is so musky and makes that crystal clear sugary scent bubble, but the lasting power is just horrible, especially for people who buy this full price. If I'm spending the big bucks, I want something to last more than a $20 body spray, and this doesn't even last that well. I could see them coming out with this in an intense version that maybe would have some lasting power and then maybe it would be worth it. But this is one that I just would never feel comfortable recommending to people. Obviously, if someone approached me and was like, you smell nice, I would tell them what I'm wearing, but this isn't one that I'm like highly raving about. Oh my gosh, you gotta grab, because the longevity is just not good. This is St. Julep by Imaginary Authors. I have tested out, I want to say, one other fragrance that I really did enjoy. I got a sample when I ordered some perfumes once, but I'm not super familiar with this whole line. I know Whiff of a Waffle Cone is pretty popular, but this one was highly raved about by Lauren May. She did a video, I believe it was like, if you enjoy Baccarat, I think you would like these. And this is one she mentioned, and it really caught my attention. So I picked this up on Mercari. So again, I didn't break the bank with it, thankfully. But St. Julep has sweet mint, tangerine, southern magnolia, bourbon, Grisolva, which I honestly, still to this day, have no idea what that is. I should probably Google it. Why haven't I? I don't know. Sugar cube and crushed ice. And honestly, like, just doesn't that just scream summer in a bottle? In this, I get a green, juicy, honestly, summer beverage. It's not super boozy, which is nice. I enjoy a little booze and some fragrances, even for someone who doesn't drink. It gives you sometimes kind of that sex kitten vibes, like night out on the town, date night vibes. This one doesn't go overly boozy at all. I find it more refreshing. It is very refreshing. Like, I do get the crushed ice vibe in there. I definitely get that sugar cube. It is a sweet fragrance, but this is not sickly sweet at all. I get that green vibe from the mint. I can't say I smell it and would realize it's mint, but I get a little bit of that earthy greenness in there. Honestly, I enjoy this fragrance. Just off of fragrance, this wouldn't be one I would personally repurchase because it goes just unisex with a toe into masculine enough that it's not fully my style. I much prefer light blue, which I would put in a very similar scent family to this. Honestly, like very similar, kind of a citrusy, woody, refreshing, high heat fragrance. I can spray myself down. Like when I purchased this, I'm sorry, I'm showing you a side you can't see. You're like, okay, cool, there's a label. There was a little bit of a dent in this when I purchased it from Mercari, but look at that. Okay, like I have put this on. I have sprayed myself down to where I'm like, this is going to perform. This is gonna last. I have showered myself in this. I can't smell it after about an hour, hour and a half. I'm sure, again, up close, real tight hug, intimate moment, someone would probably be able to smell me. But truly, as a perfume lover, I don't want to have to give somebody a very up close hug for them to be able to smell me. I don't always need to knock people out. Sometimes I like to, I can't lie. But I don't always need that from my fragrances, but I want something that's really going to last and perform. And this one just doesn't do it. Sometimes I fall for hype. Sometimes, maybe a lot of times, okay? I was seeing so many people talk about this Baccarat Ambre Eve, I don't know, Amber Eve, Ambre Eve, is that it? I don't speak French. I should take a French class, that'd be pretty cool. By Fragrance World, it's $20, so it's not the end of the world by any means. I will say the packaging, now that is impressive. Like you feel like you're holding, honestly, a Maison Francis Kirk de Jean fragrance in your hand. The way the bottle feels, the glass packaging. The only thing is the cap is cheap, but truly you do feel like you're getting a luxury experience with the packaging. So I very much enjoy that and appreciate it again for $20. I've never smelled Grand Soir, which I believe Ambre Eve is supposed to be a dupe of. And I could see it from the coloring, the bottle, all of that. And if this does smell like it's just not really for me. I love amber fragrances. I love vanilla fragrances. I can get down with an I've got money fragrance. This is like I've got money in the form of a very old vintage couch. In the dry down, it gets just a little bit better, but I could not spray myself down in this and walk around and enjoy it at all. This is far too dated for me. This is very vintagey in my opinion. It's kind of medicinal and cough syrupy. It's a little spicy, but again, it's in that very dated, old-fashioned fragrance. I can get down with some Youth Dew, okay, because of the fact several women in my family wore it. I can appreciate it, but I wouldn't wear Youth Dew on myself. This very much gives me that kind of vibe. Old school, vintage fragrance. It probably was somebody who had money who would rock something like this. But this is not my cup of tea at all. Again, it's me and the hype, you guys. I fall for it so often. Ignore the fact that my bottle was leaking. In the initial opening, there's something I really love about this. This is Badi Al Oud Honor and Glory. The bottle is so stinking cool, I cannot lie. The white packaging, the gold on the label. Anna Lauren, who I love watching, talks about this all the time and how much she loves it. And I should have known it wasn't fully gonna be for me because she said her boyfriend or fiance, sorry, I'm not sure, really enjoys wearing it as well. That should have been my warning sign. Again, this is kind of a personal preference thing. If something leans masculine, there's a 99% chance I'm not going to enjoy wearing it. It might be something I enjoy smelling, but it's not something that I feel good wearing, that I feel like matches me. You know, I want to feel myself when I'm wearing fragrance, and if it leans masculine, it just doesn't jive with me. This has such interesting notes too. This has creme brulee and pineapple, cinnamon, turmeric, which you know I'm a fan of turmeric because I love to drink my golden tea, benzoin, black pepper, vanilla, sandalwood, cashmere, moss. Lots of these notes are right up my alley. And there is, in the initial blast, there is something in here and about this fragrance. I can see why it was compared to Bond No. 9 Tribeca. In the initial opening, I get it. There's something about the creamy facets with a little bit of that sharp kind of tardiness lingering in the background that I get the vibe. As it dries down though, to my nose, more of those earthy tones come out through the turmeric, the black pepper, possibly even the cashmere and the moss that give this a kind of an earthy dryness in there. So many people rave about the pineapple note and I get very little of the pineapple in there. I think it adds a little brightness, a little citrus, kind of almost makes your sinuses kind of feel like how when you eat a pineapple your mouth feels. The creamy factor in here I really love. Like I really love the creaminess in here. This is so masculine for me. If this was way more juicy, syrupy pineapple, cut back on that black pepper some, cut back a little bit on that turmeric, bring the vanilla out, that creme brulee note, and then we would get down. This is very unisex. I should give this to my dad. My dad is blowing through some Middle Eastern colognes right now, which is hilarious because my dad has no sense of smell anymore. He's 80. He was already not, he did not have much sense of smell. Then he got COVID and then can't smell anything since. Like legit, can't smell anything. So sometimes he will spray himself down with some Middle Eastern colognes and I'm like, ooh, Dad, you smell good. It's strong. He's like, oh, it is? I'm like, yeah, it is. So I think he's been taking it a little easy on the spray since I said that because a couple times he about knocked me out. I think this would be a good one for him because this is unisex, leaning masculine. I do think the right woman could definitely wear this for sure. But for me, it is way too, I'm not even gonna say it's a toe into masculine. I think it's about 3 toes into masculine. So this is a brand that the first launch pulled me in. I love her bottles, honestly, and I really want to get Isla Coco, the new launch. I'm willing to give her a third time's the charm. 18 Vanilla Nara is not my favorite. In here we have notes of pink pepper, ginger, bergamot, resins, olibanum, cardamom, floral notes, vanilla, patchouli, and musk. So this is not the season for this fragrance by any means. You can tell right away from the notes. The accords are amber, warm, spicy, vanilla, balsamic, woody, patchouli, aromatic, fresh, spicy. Like this is a winter fragrance. I think if it had been called anything else besides vanilla, I probably would have expected less out of it. And again, reading the notes, I should have known. But with it having the title Vanilla Nara, I was like, this is going to be a rich, wintry vanilla. I get about no vanilla in there, honestly. This is a very resinous, fresh, spicy fragrance. This very much kind of sits in that same category that Ombre Eve does. Possibly Grand Soir. I've never smelled that one. This is definitely an I've got money scent, but it's walking that vintage line for me. It's not quite as vintage as Ambre Eve is for me, but this is pretty darn close. I think it's the amount of spice in there, and I really just think it's because I was really expecting vanilla to carry this fragrance. I was expecting it to be the center, but it's not. As it dries down, I feel like the vanilla kind of tames the spice a bit, smooths the spice a bit, but I want more vanilla. Next up is My Way Intense. And this again comes back to sometimes just my air when purchasing fragrances. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure you guys have done this before too. I am someone that can fall for an opening, fall in love with an opening and not give it a good enough wear or sample before being like, I need that fragrance and buying it. The initial opening of this is so bubblegummy tuberose. In the opening, it very reminds me of my bubblegum body sprays, which I love. They're so fun and playful and flirty. And then as this dries down, that tuberose really amps up. I should have done my due diligence, lived in it for a bit. I was at Ulta, I smelled it, I got that bubblegum opening, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love it, I need it right now, buying it. Literally smelled it, went up and bought it, like right in that moment. I didn't live in it. I didn't really let it dry down. And as it dries down, that double tuberose really comes out to play. And again, I'm getting better at this, doing my research, looking at notes, reading reviews, seeing the accords. And in the accords is listed animalic. On occasion, there are fragrances that lean animalic that I vibe with, And then other times it's just too much and it's very overwhelming to my senses. And this is one I put in the overwhelming to my senses category. This is one that as I wear it, I really feel like it's kind of overtaking me, overpowering me. It gets to be too much. It doesn't happen to me often, but every once in a while, certain fragrances really like start to overwhelm me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I wearing this? I wish I wasn't wearing it. It's like hard to ignore it. She's powerful, no doubt about it. This is an Intense. Again, should have done my research. I think I probably would have been okay if I would have just gone with My Way instead of the Intense. This is not the original bottom. I switched them because I think they just look better with the blue and the blue and the white and the white. But anyways, this is Cloud 2.0. Again, this is not a bad fragrance by any means, especially if you like Cloud. We have lavender, bergamot, pear, whipped cream, praline, coconut, orchid, cashmerian, ambroxan, musk, and woody notes. To me, this is a creamier version of Cloud. That's really the main difference. This to me is a little creamier, more whipped. It's like an extra dose of whipped cream to Cloud. Because I am a freak, I have all 3 Clouds and I enjoy them all in their own way. But I feel like I can justify Cloud Pink more than I can this one. Like when this runs out, I won't repurchase, even though the collector in me kind of looks like, oh, but you need all 3. But no, I don't, okay. This one to me just doesn't perform well enough. For being Cloud 2.0, I'm thinking it's gonna be a bit more powerful, last a little bit better, project a little bit more. I actually find this one to be weaker than the original. And I've tested it, I've put regular Cloud on one arm, Cloud 2.0 on the other, and I've had my husband smell them. He also finds the original Cloud to be stronger. I don't know if it's just how it performs on me personally, but the original Cloud performs better. It projects more, it lasts longer. Or maybe it's because even the sweetness I feel like is a cut down just a little bit in this one versus Cloud. And I do find sweetness wears really well on my chemistry. Maybe it's because I have a sweet tooth and I probably eat more sugar than I should. So maybe it's just like, oh, we belong here. But obviously it wasn't bad enough that I returned it in the moment, but it's definitely one that is not on my repurchase list. All right, that is the 7 fragrances in my collection that right now I'm just honestly not that impressed with, not that in love with, but more importantly, know that I'm not going to repurchase because they just don't wow me. And I want to be wowed when I purchase fragrances now. Please let me know down below what are some fragrances in your collection that are a little meh, you're not really loving anymore. You know I want to hear it. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and I will see you in the next one. Mwah. Bye-bye.